Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, June 27, 2018. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We had quite the move over the last couple of days here, and recently we have just tested the previous month's close. That's this blue dotted line right here. We've tested it 2 of the last 3 days and the first trading day of the month. We've given it all back here after the early rally, and now we're holding. And again, this could be a really good opportunity here for price to bounce, given the failed new low that has developed. If you look at the intraday time frames, the rejection since about 3-4 in the morning looks very, very strong, and there's absorption occurring off the 27.14, 27.12 zone, but we could have higher market structure about 27.20 now. So overall, this market looks pretty strong from this low, but prices will surely have to renegotiate back above 27.60 in order to really get going back up toward 27.91. Remember, when we have an FOMC key level, the reason we track them is because they're so important, because they can be major targets. So 27.91, we saw price go offered away from the level, and now whenever you're done going down, you might see the bounce back to it. So there could be a bounce as high as 27.91 coming up ahead, but it all starts with rejection down here first. So again, can price continue to hold above the previous session's low price of 14.75? If so, that could go a long way towards seeing a little bit more of a bounce. And then again, 27.60 will be the biggest obstacle, as bears would want to defend this zone for a shot at lower prices. Alright, let's take a look now at the NQ. The NQ, nice uptrending structure. You can see a rejection signal starting to develop right now. You can see this 7K right here, a big time level where the stops came out, big squeeze, failed on the high, and returned back to the point. So now again, failed new low, just like the ES. If price can start to really push beyond the previous session's high here, we could be looking at an easy move back toward the midpoint of that recent impulse sell-off, which is 71.68, and as high as 72.14 half. Now again, as I mentioned before, if this is going to be a major rejection where we continue to 66.53, then bears are going to want to keep 72.14 half offered. So any bounce as high as that could be seen as a selling opportunity for a shot at dropping this thing down. Bulls are going to really need to climb back above that in order to avoid a sell-off. Alright, let's take a look at crude oil. Here's a look at crude. Basically, this right here shows how strong crude has been over the last few days. You know, really since this impulse wave here, we were looking for a bounce back up. Didn't get it. Over here, we were building for it and could not get it again. And then over here, we finally formed enough support. 64.24 was major, 64.30s as the LVM was significant, and then it formed an impulse sell-off that led to a nice key range. That gave us our target, and we reached the target, 70.78. So a big continuation out of that pattern, significant move. We had it in our trading room early, and what a great breakout. So now what is happening? Well, we've gotten a significant move. We're coming back above the 70.41 level, and that's significant right now to reestablish acceptance back above that zone. It's going to be interesting to see, can price continue to push higher, or will it begin to start to see resistance somewhere near recent highs. So overall, it's hard to bet against crude at the moment. Still trending up. I would say right now 70.80 would be the level to watch if prices start to push back down, at least short term. So 70.80, actually 70.90, make it 70.90 may be the early level to watch for signs of a pullback this morning. Alright, let's take a look now at, let's see, let's go with BTC. Let's go with Bitcoin. Had some folks asking about Bitcoin here lately. This one, I usually look at XBT. This one is BTC, so we have a different impulse range here. The impulse range takes us here with the midpoint at 16,458. This right here is the 75% extension. So that's the 75% expansion target right there. We're sitting right on top of it. That's 59.77. That's where this pivot low is. That's where we currently are right now. So we're at a significant area of support. Descending wedge or descending pattern here, that usually suggests weakness overall. So usually a downside break occurs out of that pattern. One thing I noticed out of this one is if we go up here to a 10 period, you'll notice how compressed price action has been. So right over here, magenta color means that over the last 10 sessions plus, we've had very narrow compressed price action compared to normal. And so again, that is very reminiscent of what we saw back here before we got a breakout on the 5-day. This is a 10-day, which is more significant, something like that, where you see it here, something like this where you see it here, and it leads to some sort of move. So again, we've got it compressed. We're sitting right on 6K support. We could see a very significant breakout move coming. If it's to the downside, could be big. We could be dropping to the next major key level below. That next level below will be in the 4Ks, I believe. Let's bring this up. So the next key level based off the key range will be 38.81 as the next major downside level. That's significant. So again, if we were to break below that level, we drop to here. So far we've been holding it, so it wouldn't surprise me to see a squeeze back toward 7900, but again, this market has been very, very heavy and has not really seen much of a bounce at all, so I wouldn't really count on it at this time. So 6K is the major support to watch in BTC moving forward. Alright, looking at the YM right now, you'll notice the YM failed new low also, double bottom on the previous lows. If you look at the intraday chart, a much more significant area of rejection today than we've seen over the last couple of days, which is good. And this could, again, lead to a bounce that could be as high as the midpoint back up here, 24,886. So we could bounce right back up. Additionally, there's also an impulse range, impulse sell-off from this high down to this low, and again, the midpoint would be 24,748, and that could be a high probability target into this zone. So that becomes a nice high probability target zone over the next week to 5 to 7 days of trading. Again, this is something where we continue to hold within this larger range here, and anytime we get too far away from this gold line, we usually snap right back to it. So we could be looking at a snap back to that level, and again, based on the FOMC key level, theoretically speaking, we could bounce all the way back up to that level if we're done going down. So just keep that in mind. That level again up here at the 25,327 level. Alright, that is it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Thank you for your comments, your thoughts, your feedback. Again, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Take care.